You want to be a good tattooer, you have to just lock yourself in the shop for 8, 10, 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's the only way to get ahead in this game.
Right. And you have to have that motive that's going to allow you not to quit.
Right.
One day wake up and be like, I don't know, if a buddy of mine, Made Rich, shout out Made Rich, they're on the East Coast. They just posted this and I was going to show you the apprenticeship pros, the apprenticeship cons, and then the self-taught pros and the self-taught cons. Part of their example was like structured training with experienced mentors, kind of like what we were talking about.
Right.
Networking with industry professionals, hand-on experience in the studio, so you get to learn what it's like to be in the shop environment. Learn the shop, right? Not just knowing your garage. Enhance professional credibility, so you can say, I've worked with Tim. Tim will vouch for me. Right. Cool, yeah, let me call him up, right? There's a safety and hygiene education, which is important. Self-taught. Now to the cons, lack of guidance and feedback, which we kind of spoke about. Gaps with technique and safety. Harder to gain credibility without formal training, right? Limited networking opportunities, which is like opening doors. And they said slower skill development with the business practice. You were self-taught, but you saw that development.
Yeah, so I had to just get enough no's to finally get a yes.
Dude, how long has it been since I've seen you? Did you mention like, well, it's been like 16 years or something like that?
So, dude, yeah, it had to have been.
I love the get up, bro. You came in here. I didn't expect that, dude. Yeah, dude. When I knew you, you had like
probably like a little 100-pounder.
No, yeah, but you're like
t-shirt.
DC. You had like all the skater gear, you know?
Well, we're getting older, man.
I mean, did you grow up like like your background? Is it like country or like
So
West?
I was born in Texas, in Kingsville, Texas. It's way down south.
Yeah.
Close to Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
My dad was in the Navy.
When did you move out here?
Probably to California, let's say, I would say Lemoore in like 99.
Now, Lemoore because of the base?
Yes.
Okay, that
My
makes
dad
sense.
is a jet mechanic.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
You never got into that?
The jets.
You never got into like the military thing? Like that
I
was
did
never...
take the ASVAB. I was seriously looking at that. I think it was 9/11 when 9/11 happened.
Gotcha,
my dad was enlisted and in the middle of the Arabian Sea on the Carl Vincent. And when 9/11 happened, that shook our family because we didn't know like when he was going to come back. It was only supposed to be a 6-month deployment. Ended up being like 10. Yeah, I missed a lot of stuff. You know, we're young kids growing up, and I think that was ultimately the thing was like, oh, now it's popping off over there. And, you know, my
dad got real.
It got real. I have like an older brother that I look up to, and he like signed up for the Marines right away.
You're going to go in, dude.
Yeah, he's like went to do the thing.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if you served, like you actually went in or not.
No,
That's
I didn't.
wild,
No, I
dude.
didn't.
Yeah.
But my dad was the one that told me, you know, go do something else, go do something fun.
Yeah.
And actually went and joined the Ironworkers Union. So I went to Las Vegas for like 3 years. I was just like doing the Ironworkers Union from the time I was 18 till I was about 21.
Okay.
But I was dabbling in tattoos.
Gotcha.
Like I had my own kit, visited. I would always go over into Tulare ink machine, and I would always stop in at Creative Designs all the time. Those guys were always real cool. You know, it would kind of bullshit. That's where I got my first tattoo, was Creative Designs. I grew up with those cats.
Right.
And it just felt like home kind of going over there, you know, everybody was cool.
Well, that's the environment. When I met you, I think I don't know what it was that I like gravitated to you, right? Because I was hanging out there at Scott at the time. Right, that owned it. And then when I don't remember when you came in exactly, but I was hanging around. You would be there, see your work, and I was like, I like that traditional vibe. And so I was like, dude, can you do this on... You did my calf tattoo, and did I nod out? Did I go to sleep on that tattoo?
Do you remember?
You
did. Crazy.
Yeah. So I was like, you know,
tattoos still took me a long time at that point to do a relatively large tattoo. It would take me, you know, a good amount of time during the day, 4 to 6 hours.
But dude, I would watch you. I'd watch you work a lot.
Yeah, we bang them out now though with all the technology and everything. Came back from Vegas around that time. I was like 21, so that would have been like 2007, 8.
Yeah, it was around 8-ish or 9.
Yeah, maybe like 9-ish even.
Yeah, because it was after I graduated, that's when I started getting tattooed heavily, more heavily. And then it started to spark do I want to do this? For the most part, I was just watching the stencils happen when you have to wipe it off and or resize something. I really indulged myself in that environment of the shop.
Oh yeah, I remember, dude. I remember you always looking over our shoulders
everything that went on in the shop, dude. At any hour, that shop was open. That's the first time. I was
comfortable with you setting stuff up, even.
Yeah, dude. I think I did. I would like set you up. Yeah.
I think you might have.
I think I remember like setting you up, but I was just there watching everyone, man. But it was always
you were there all the time. You always wanted to get tattooed, and I think it came to a point.
That's where a lot of these came out of.
Where like my chair was open, and you were were there and you were like, you know what, I don't want to wait.
Right. Yeah,
and so we just whipped one out. You had me draw it up. It was like prayer hands, the zombie style.
And I was like, yo, I want this. It's like a minor threat tattoo from like the punk stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like one of my favorite songs and everything. I got a lot of my first tattoos there. Like I got my torso done there and everything. It's jacked on rock stars, you know?
Yeah.
We're just like.
Yeah, it was fun times, man.
It's
that place
crazy,
was rad.
bro.
I found that place on Craigslist.
Was it just like a shop opening, like a chair opening or something?
I think they like lost a couple guys. At the time, it was a dude named Alex. And then Scott, he was like the money guy, but he was like a restaurant dude. He was like a chef.
I remember that.
And like into wine. And,
yeah, the piercer.
Yeah, Chris. He had the moon on his face. Yep. He worked at Walmart too.
Right. That was wild. I was like, wait, you have a regular job?
Times, bro. Yeah.
I was like, wait, you have a regular job also? And I was like,
it was still fun though. Chris was super knowledgeable. He did so many piercings.
I think he moved somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember seeing him at work once, and then that was it.
I think they sold off the shop to someone else owns it. I don't know who. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know what happened either. I know. So I got in there because I was doing tattoos up in Auberry.
Okay.
I was living in Auberry, so north of Fresno.
Did you just have like a setup somewhere?
I had like a middle house on a family's property.
Okay.
And you know, we set it. We always had like one room everywhere I went, no matter what.
That's crazy, dude.
Just to have that, you know.
I never knew any of the history. When I was like, dude, you are the perfect. I was like, first of all, from the start, like how when I started getting exposed into an actual, like you mentioned, like what a place that felt like home.
Yeah.
Right. That place felt like home. I forget who even. Oh, you know who it was? There was this guy that did one of my first tattoos. I can't remember his name, bro. It sucks. His name was like Brandon or something like that. I was working at a music shop at the time, and he was a drummer. If you like that drum set, you know, and I did one of those like, I'll get it with my discount, right?
Yeah.
And he's all cool, and I'll tattoo you. And I was like, all right, that's when I got like my first like the koi and stuff.
Cool.
And then we did it at his house, like, you know, everything.
Yeah.
You hear the stories and they're like, oh, I got it done at a house. Back then, it was more like we didn't know the get down of the process of booking your appointment.
Right.
Back then, it was more like, it was more common to just the homie that had stuff at his house, you know, a setup. From there, he ended up telling me, he's like, dude, guess what? I got a job at the shop. And it was that shop.
Oh, okay.
And then I think he bounced, but I still stayed because I started getting like friendly with everybody else.
Yeah.
He went off to do something else, I think.
There were so many people in and out of that shop.
The turnover is
crazy,
wild. Yeah, but it's common. You know, it's a common thing, which we see now. When I got introduced to that shop, you came in shortly after, and then I followed you around, dude. I followed you when you went somewhere else. When I got the fill-in for like the tie-in.
Yeah, so
in the back of the elbow. And that's when I met you over there. I was at Timeless.
Yeah.
I'll be at this other shop now. So I followed you there. And now it's funny how we see that with our clients, how they follow you around. But you were way before I even started. That's why it's funny. You come in here like, I was like, dude, but I gotta give it up to you because you guys are the ones that were like,
much appreciated.
You guys were like, you know, you showed me a lot of that.
Right.
You know?
It was fun.
And I didn't know anything of it.
That shop specifically was really open, you know, so it was very accepting of many different personalities and they always had events like once a month. That was really cool. Tattooing wasn't always like that. You know, it was very like the artists owned their town or whatever. Like where they, you know, they act like, you know, it's theirs.
Yeah.
You know, when really it's all of ours. I'll jump the back fence. I'm getting in somehow.
That's funny. That's funny you said that, man.
It was gatekeeping for a long time.
Hard,
because they try to keep it small.
Right.
You know, and they didn't want to let people in. And I understood that.
And that was real because it was hard for me to get an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
When I knew what it was, I knew the steps, but of course I didn't go about it. I still secluded myself for like 6 to 9 months and I was at the house just drawing, working on that hand.
Yeah.
And like understanding Flash, trying to make it happen. And then I started tattooing. Then I stopped because all the bad habits started blending. And then I felt like you hit that, we plateau.
Right.
How am I going to break this wall to get to that next where I want to be? Or we see this inspiration. That's when, I don't even know if Instagram was that active, but I know that you can go on, YouTube was big and you see, or magazines and you see a artist. I admire this art. I like this tattoo style, Sailor Jerry stuff. If you're only introduced to traditional as an artist, if you're going to get into tattooing, you think that is tattoos.
Correct.
But if you are like introduced to like Japanese art or this crazy cyber sigillism that's like the wild tribal, you know, that is tattoos. It all depends on who you really learn from and your influence of art. So I thought, no, traditional's it.
That's it.
Like this is like I had like fun, like tunnel vision to traditional tattoos. I think tattoos are this is what, you know, the bold, this, that, you know, there's a lot more to it. The black and gray, the realism, all this, you know, and that's a whole different path in itself.
Right.
It's pretty bizarre, but
it is. It's
I guess
crazy.
Because I know we could ramble.
Yeah.
Let's give you a proper intro, bro. This is Tattooing Out Loud. Welcome back. One of the good boys of mine. First artist that I started getting tattooed by, my homie Tim. Go ahead and give us your intro, your name, your style, the kind of tattoos you do, where you're at.
My name is Timothy Welsh. I'm born Texas to a military family. Moved around a lot. We settled in Lemoore around late 90s. And I guess that's kind of where it all pretty much took off for me. My dad was in the Navy, and every time he would leave on the boat, he'd come back with a new tattoo. Well, one time, you know, it had my name on it when he came back. So I think that was like the love for tattoos started with the bond with my dad, kind of.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he was a sailor. His name is Jerry.
No
That's
way.
like all the kind of tattoos he has.
Wow.
Super traditional,
Just
Sailor
super
Jerry
traditional.
style stuff.
Yeah.
So
where was he? Did he talk about where he was getting his tattoos?
Yeah, wherever they ported. So
Yeah.
Singapore. He used to go to Singapore a lot, and there was a guy named Johnny Two Thumbs.
Okay.
And
Two Thumbs, huh?
Yeah, Johnny Two Thumbs was his name. And I remember my dad brought back a picture from a disposable camera, and he was getting an eagle tattooed, and you know Johnny Two Thumbs was doing it.
Right.
No gloves, you know, same rag on every guy. Kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But born to the military family. I'm in Lemoore now.
Okay.
I traveled around quite a bit.
Right.
Even like this last year, I was all over the United States traveling, tattooing, everywhere.
That's cool.
And had a great time doing it. But recently, we just opened back a brand new shop inside of my skateboard shop.
I seen that.
And so that's the new goal. It's going to be called 321 Tattoo. We just like remodeled the whole thing. Like I'm talking a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we're about
That's
to.
rad.
Yeah.
What would you call your style? What kind of tattoos are you like? Talk about pay your dues. You did the walk-in shops to like custom to where you are now.
Right. Oh, I did the ghetto stuff in Vegas, dude. Like the chain. That's kind of like the smoke shop retail over there.
Right.
And they have like tattoo shops in every single one.
Yeah, I've seen
And that was just, man, you get the weirdest stuff in Vegas. And then Fresno, same thing. Pretty straight off of Blackstone.
What brought you out of, because you were in Vegas for how long?
So
you said
it was my previous wife. I was living in Auberry, driving to Fresno every day, working for a neon sign company that her uncle owned.
It's like one of those, like the big street signs
big
and all that.
industrial neon signs. Gas inside the neon, and then try not to break it when you install it.
Right.
And you're doing huge sticks, like the Edwards Theater building. You know, that neon that runs all the way around that place. Like crazy stuff.
The science and art. And
and electrician stuff. You know, it was also tattooing. It was more on the side though. I wasn't taking it serious. I was just having fun, only doing my homies, all out of the house. But I ended up doing.
Did you start picking it up in Vegas? Like
I tattooed for like 3 years. I think I already had a kid when I first met you.
I think so.
Little Gage. He had like really blonde hair at the time.
How old is he right now?
He's going to be 17 this year.
Wow.
So he was like 1, probably not barely walking when I first met you.
I'm sure, like, dude, I remember seeing him in the shop or
he was
at
around,
events, like you mentioned.
At the events, he would be in the front, head banging.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool, man.
So I was working in Auberry.
Yeah.
Driving back and forth to Fresno. One day I was getting tired of the job, you know, the uncle, and I was kind of over the whole industry doing signs. I was tired of being away from my kid, and I was like, dude, I'm just going to do the tattoo thing. Went on Craigslist, there was an ad. I did a interview at there was like a pizza place right next to
it was like a Me and Ed's or something like that.
Me and Ed's.
Yeah, it was at the corner.
Yeah, so I met the guys there. They're trashed, you know. They're like pictures. They're like doing interviews all day long, like old school Craigslist way.
I think I remember that.
And you had to
day.
have like pictures from like a disposable camera or like a good camera.
Your art.
Yeah, it was no camera phone.
Right.
You know, you had to go
physical Polaroid, physical like
real. You had to have a portfolio.
Right.
And so I brought my portfolio, and I remember they grabbed that picture of it was like a Ninja Turtle that I did on a guy's leg, and they wrote my name on the back of it and my phone number, and they just like put it in a pile with a bunch of other tattoos.
Dang.
So they had been interviewing guys all day, and then they called me later on, and they're like, "Hey, we want to give you an opportunity to come work here." And I was like, "Yes."
That's dope.
Started the next day.
You were commuting then, right? Because you lived in the Auberry?
Yeah, so I was still driving Auberry to Fresno. I started making enough money where I could get a little pad in Fresno, and that's what we did. We got our own apartment, and then boom, it just started. I was in.
Yeah.
I was in
just
the
like
industry.
that.
It was crazy.
Your first shop was in Vegas though? Like the first official shop that you worked at, or what?
The first official shop that I wouldn't call it like I wasn't there
it was
permanently.
Like yeah.
I was kind of like doing the guest artist thing like on the weekend. I was doing the iron worker thing during the week, so I was tired. I had guys willing to get tattooed that were iron workers, and I wanted like a safe place. You know, I didn't want to always bring them back to my house, and they're just like a bunch of randoms. So ended up getting clicked up with Diversity, which is just like a smoke shop tattoo thing.
Yeah, is it one of those like show up and you get a booth kind of thing? Or is
pretty much. Everybody's hired.
It's like that.
It's like
Hollywood.
McDonald's, dude. Everything's there, you know. It's crazy.
No qualifications, no standards. Like
Walmart type, you know.
No portfolio needed. Yeah, that's funny.
So I wouldn't say it was permanent because that wasn't my prime income. Lovesick was really when I clicked, and that was like my real first like, all right, I have to do this
structure.
Like, have to make it.
Yeah,
you know, like this is it. We don't have a job to fall back on.
So you gave yourself like no option other than to make it.
Yeah. I was like, this is it. I'm in the shop now. This is my residence. And I made it my home. I was there for, I don't know, a year or two.
Was it that little? Like, I thought you were there for a longer time.
I think it was only like a year or two because I ended up staying at Timeless for like 5 years after that.
That was your hub, right?
Yeah. After I left Scott. So the dude, Alex, he ended up having like a gnarly drinking problem. I don't know if he couldn't pay the bills or if it was keeping him from it.
Okay, something happened.
Yeah, he wasn't a tattoo artist, so he was like more into whatever he was doing, restaurant world. And they needed somebody to pay the rent, and then boom, I got like half ownership because I was paying half the rent at Lovesick.
That's right.
And
I remember that you were like part owner at one point.
Yeah, so I had my own little room, and we split the bills evenly, halfway. Did that for a year or two, and then I think I just got tired of like the partying, the drug use.
Yeah, it was a little, that shop, dude. Before we kind of got linked up again, there's times when I bring up stories about Tim, my man here. This was the first time I ever seen an artist take his gloves off, grab his client, and put him against the wall and be like, "This is my livelihood. Like, you got to sit still or you're gonna get the fuck out."
Oh shit!
You don't remember that?
I don't even remember that.
Old boy was like drunk. He was like some dude. It was one of like the party hangout dudes, right?
Yeah.
I remember I was in the shop, dude, and I just seen you were heated, bro. But you know how people would gather. You remember the layout, right?
Right.
So like you had your room.
It was open.
Yeah. And so some of us was just like, and then they would have music, and then they would have, whatever. And then like I just remember this guy was talking, and while you're tattooing him like this, and he would grab his drink and then he would drink it, but then he'd be talking and he'd be doing this. You're just getting angry. It was just and then I just saw you, dude, this little Tim, because you were tiny back,
Yeah, it was.
And this dude he like towered over you, but yeah, you grabbed him and you were like, you need to sit. If you can't sit still, you're gonna have to do this another day. Like you got.
Actually, I think I do.
You remember that?
Yeah, I think we didn't finish. We kicked it. It was over after that.
Popped off, bro.
Yeah, I think it was over. I was like, get out.
I remember that story has been said so many times in here because I'm like,
That's
bro,
so crazy.
You have no idea. I knew this guy that grabbed his client
in my life,
dude. I just remember, bro. Like, where the bathrooms were? You had him right in the middle, up against the wall.
Wow.
And you were like, you don't remember that,
man? I probably was just like seeing red.
Sure. I think you blacked.
I think that's why I liked you so much too, is because you were doing jiu-jitsu. I was like a wrestler.
Yeah. That's where we clicked. We linked up a lot.
Just like, small guys like us, we had to fight for everything and work hard, and you want to do a good job, and you can't let the client mess it up for you.
Right. Absolutely. But dude, you grabbed that guy, and I just remember you were even looking up, and you're just like, you can't sit still. You're gonna get out, or this and that. You were like lighting him up there, but you were laying it out to him like straight. You're like, this is my livelihood. I take this serious. I expect you to take it serious. And you're just like...
Yeah, I think we went back in right after that to sit on the chair.
He even said, my bad.
He fell out the chair, and I was like, that's it.
You're done. Yeah. I remember that, dude. I remember that so clear.
He couldn't even sit.
Yes. Because I was even like, hey, man, just sit down, dude. Like, I was even trying to like help him. Like, dude, Tim's going to light you up, bro.
I don't get like that too often,
Right, but dude, talk about like...
Hardly ever happens.
That's just how it was, though, man. Back in the day, that shop was... I could see what you mean, though, being like, fed up. Because there was a lot of... there's no such thing as like the tolerance was very high. There was no... It was a structure, there was like, obviously, like, he was there this hour. Like, you guys were there. Like, when you had to be there, you were there. That's when I saw the organization, the structure of a shop, or what it meant to be, or like...
that place was good for that, We were there every single day, no matter what.
But it was It was a Blackstone.
Yeah, run-of-the-mill type
very
tattoo shop.
Heart of in the center where everything was going by in there.
Right.
And it was tucked in the back where all kinds of stuff would go. I mean, people had dirt bikes back there.
Yeah.
I think you'd pull out a skateboard and try to grind on a rail. Dude, that was just the place, man. It was just something like that. It was a wild, it was cool. A wild time, man. But that for sure. So you went 5 years into Timeless.
Yeah, straight out of Lovesick. Scott was tied to Richard.
Right.
They have like it's like brother-in-law.
What was
type.
brother-in-law?
They're sisters.
So Richard,
I think it was actually my clients.
Uh-huh.
They were like, "Hey Tim, you need to go talk to Richard. Like, Scott, we understand, like he's cool in this, but Rich has an open chair and it won't be weird, like just go talk to him."
Yeah.
And so I went over there, I talked to him. He was like, "Yeah, dude, let's do it."
Right.
So then I was like with Rich. He was like really my first mentor.
Okay.
Besides, like, I guess when I first got a tattoo machine, there was a time when I went to Tulare and was like, dude, I was just showing up at this shop in Tulare. Phil Garcia owned it, called the Ink Machine. And this was like pre-Vegas. I would just go in there all the time. He did a lot of my other tattoos after Creative Designs.
Right.
And he tattooed all my homies. And I would go in there, set his stuff up, take his trash out. I forced an apprenticeship on him.
Right.
Like, I showed
you
up.
Just show up and you're like,
I would do all his work.
I'm volunteering to hire myself. Yeah.
And he never let me once do a tattoo in there. But there was a time when it came and he was like, you need to go buy one.
Right.
And I got one off of International Tattoo. And then boom, it was on. I went to Vegas right after that.
Yeah, because you never had a mentor, right? You were always kind of self-taught in a sense.
I was self-taught in a sense, but I feel like Phil Garcia was the one that kind of opened the gates.
Gotcha.
He was like, dude, if you want to come here and take my trash out, you can. And it was real old school autoclave, needle bar. Everything was like that then. That was like early 2000s.
Yeah.
So it was strict still. There was only two tattoo shops in Lemoore at the time.
Okay.
And they, I think, weren't really giving me the opportunity as fast as I wanted.
Yeah.
So I went to Tulare and he just let me like do all the dirt work.
Right.
Mop the floors, sweep, broom. I would run to the store, get him cigarettes and Pepsis. And I would show up on days when he didn't even have clients, and he would be like, hey, get out of here, like, we don't need you today. Yeah. And I would jam back to Lemoore. I had like a little Honda 500 Rebel that I would ride back
the Honda Rebels,
Yeah, but then when I got with Rich, I feel like Rich is the one that took the time to show me his style, which is very like realistic. I was real just like lines and color it in. Strong, bold, traditional. Was really good at doing line work and then packing color, And then when I got to Rich, he was like, no, you got to, shade this out and do this. And that's really where I, turned a lot of clients into friends and became tighter with the tattoo community. There was like pneumatic stuff was going on,
Are you still using coils? Like, are you?
Occasionally. I have a collection, mostly on the pen.
You're on the pen.
Like everybody else. Dude.
Right. It's crazy,
it's just
man.
easy to travel with.
For the longest time, that was unheard of. Like if you're sitting back at one of those first shops and being like, one day I was a
hater. I was a rotary hater.
Absolutely.
I hated the iPad. I hated that whole
dude.
new school way of doing things. I was very traditionally raised in tattooing.
I guess it took a time for me to see somebody travel with a tackle box and their whole setup was in there. Yeah. And I was just like mind blown because I had to take a box of 30 tubes to fit 30 needles of one size and like another 30. And I was like, I need a whole suitcase to go to, or you go to a convention and you buy a bunch of stuff and then you come back with, you need more space. Kingpin's there or somebody, and you get a whole 50 box of like all my mags and then, and then you're coming back home and now I got a bunch of supplies and now it's just like a box of cartridges, boom, go. I was the same way though. It was just kind of like load of the coil and everything.
It was for a long time.
It was just like that, right.
And then I think it was like the convention thing too. When I started breaking into the conventions and seeing what everybody else was using, they were keeping up with the technology. Me and Richard did a Body Art Expo.
Okay, which one?
That was like San Francisco.
The SF one? Yeah, they had like Cow Palace.
Super fun. We had like Roman right next to us. There was a girl named Allie that used to work at Timeless, and she had opened her own space, and she was actually like on the first or second season of Ink Master.
Hot Rod? Yeah.
We had like a bunch of friends in our little area, and it was cool.
Industry inks have been around for a while, and recently they expanded their pigment range. Everything from your primary colors, opaque grays, brand new anime skin tone, bright neon fluorescent tones, gray wash set, and black lining ink. If you haven't yet tried out this high quality pigment, head on over to industryinks.com. And with your order, you can take advantage of a special promo code using OUTLOUD for an exclusive discount. Try out their new range for yourself, and thanks again for the partnered sponsorship.
My first real tattoo convention was the Fresno. Fresno Tattoo Convention, the very first one. Oh, and wow. It was like Oliver Peck, Kat Von D.
That year, right.
I was outside smoking a cigarette, and Permanent Mark comes outside. I didn't even know. I only had like 2 tattoos.
Sure.
Had no idea who the guy was. And he just lit up a conversation with me, and another guy walks out, and he was getting like a grenade with wings tattooed on the back of his head. And Permanent Mark was the one doing it. Wow. And I was like, oh, dude, like I was like, what?
Well, yeah,
like, we're just smoking cigarettes. Now you're like this badass tattoo artist, you know? So the inspiration was crazy.
That happened.
And like,
that's funny.
Walking around and hanging out with like Tennessee Dave and Rick Walters was there.
Oh, yeah, Rick
Those
Walters.
are like legends, dude. I got pictures with those guys.
Right.
And they're hanging in my booth like everywhere I go.
Right.
Because that's tattooing was really, it was sacred, you know?
It was sacred. Your exposure to a lot of, you know, you're in the mix of it all too.
Yeah.
Like you're with these names that to some people, it's like, you know, we get that's our starstruck, right?
It is.
Like in a sense where you're kind of like.
I have new stars now, you know, because of like social media.
Yeah. I mean, it opened up a huge window now with social media. It's pretty remarkable, man.
Yeah, you would have to just get a magazine back in those days, you know, because the internet was still pretty new. And you could Google, and I think even Yahoo, it was before Google. Yahoo Images was like the thing.
Yahoo Images.
And you could look up tattoos or whatever, or you would have to find like a website that had only tattoos. Before then, it was magazines. You know, you go to the grocery store, you get a magazine, and you look at what's going on all over the country, all over the world.
Yep. And then the tattoo shows started to arise.
Yeah,
also
and then I was old enough to participate.
Yeah.
And then that's when Richard was like, I think even Tower and Richard had done a few shows together.
Yeah.
And David opened up 92 Proof from Fresno. I was at Timeless. And yeah, it was cool. It was super fun there. I loved that place, Timeless, dude.
Did you, you were able to get help whenever you needed it by how many booths? Because you had like, I remember when I got
like 8 in there.
Yeah, when I got tattooed in there, I remember I would just kind of sit because I could tell going from where you were to this new spot, I can tell it was a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
As far as like, you know, it was just, I sat down and I think you were still like, what's up, man? Come on in. 'Cause you were bald at the time and you just, you know, and I'd be like, cool. And I was looking around, I was like, yo, this is a nice place. And you're like, yeah, this is, it's all hooked up and you know, you sat me down and I think you had like a movie on or something. I just remember I was a little more reserved because I was like, this isn't the same energy that there's at the other spot.
Yeah, I was a little more professional.
More quiet. It was like super chill though.
Everybody's working. Yeah.
Right.
It's more of like a competition, I feel like, at that shop too. Like everybody was pushing each other, competing. Right. All the guys that worked there were coming out doing really good stuff. It was awesome.
Good to have that around you. That's one thing I do miss, having like this huge artists next to you it was just hard because some shops would be like, some artists, you know, there was a conflict within the shop.
Right.
And then some shops it'd be like, you don't really see each other because it's like a clock in, clock out, or or they're all closed off, like by actual rooms where I think there's a shop in San Jose that's like that. Literally everyone has their own room. So there's no such thing as I mean, maybe they all, you know, but everything's very like, this is my island, right? It's not even like an open thing.
Right.
And, you know, just like you mentioned earlier, that's how you travel and you grow. And that's exactly, you know, what I saw.
Yeah, you have to go everywhere.
Right.
You have to go and see inside of every single shop. And I used to do that too. I think Timeless opened me up to that a lot because Rich was friends with everybody. And lots of dudes would stop in. That's like how I met David Tower for the first time. He would walk in and say what's up. I think Rich did a lot of his tattoos and stuff, you know, so they had that. Lots of dudes, lots of different guys would stop in. His brother-in-law was DJ DeSoto for like B95 at the time.
That's right.
So we'd always get shout outs on the radio and stuff. Yeah. And that was super cool. Lots of football players, basketball players.
Right, because you guys were right there too. Yeah. State players,
Yeah, city, state.
You guys were there right by city.
Yeah. It's pretty rough.
It's pretty rough in that area. I mean, you guys got bars in the windows.
Yeah, that's like Blackstone and Yale. So
yeah, you were there for the 5 years. You kind of probably seen a lot of that.
Yeah, I seen a lot of crazy stuff. You know, one time a guy did a not so admirable tattoo, And a guy came back and put a gun in his face, you know, and I was able to defuse the situation and hooked up that cover up right away, no problem, for free.
Dude.
And, you know, that was it. So we stayed and
teamwork, dude, teamwork.
But it was like crazy stuff, you know, you never knew it was going to happen. We used to get, you know, drunk guys in there all the time and just causing chaos. You never knew if they're going to rob you or whatever's going on down on Blackstone's always kind of weird. So
it's kind of,
And, you know, I just had a falling out with Fresno. That was my thing. I felt stuck there.
You felt like burnt out?
Yeah, it was just like, man, I'm never going to make enough to get out of this place kind of a deal.
Where did you leave from here?
So from Timeless, moved to the coast.
Where did you go from there? Like, what shop were you working out there?
So I had a connection with a piercer that was getting me guest spots at Tiger Rose.
Oh, Tiger Rose.
In Pismo.
Okay.
Yeah, Chewy, super cool, let me in, and he was short-staffed or whatever. I think my clientele just got good enough to where I opened up. Oh, no. I went into another smoke shop situation.
Oh, okay.
And it was the old Cherry Blossom.
Wow.
So it used to be like two separate buildings, but the guy that owned the spot at the time built a tattoo shop inside the smoke shop. And then he went on to open up another spot. Cherry Blossom 2, I think is what it's called now. It's still there in Atascadero. Okay. But
how was that environment? How was that life out there, living out there? Like what?
It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like party town, college town.
Yeah.
You know,
well, you're kind of busy with a lot of there's a lot more walking, like
and
street shop kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what's cool about that spot is I was the only guy tattooing in there.
Okay.
From like there's a few tattoo shops in Atascadero, but I was like north of the side, and then I was the only one all the way until Slow.
Okay.
So when they would first come in town and get on El Camino, you know, depending on which way they were coming, my shop would have been one of the first ones they would pass.
So that's
had
like
a big old sign.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and the radio used to make fun of me and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Like, what's up with this cardboard guy, you know, set up inside this little shop? He's all alone. Funny. And then they corrected themselves and they were like, well, look at us. We're here talking about him. So I guess he's doing something right.
Right. That's good, dude.
And then, I just built a huge clientele on my own in Atascadero. Stayed there for, I don't know, 5-6 years. And then came back to Lemoore, 2015.
Now, did you see the opportunity to come back as far as, or did you ever feel like you needed these changes, or did you
so when we split to the coast, I was going through like a relationship issue.
Sure.
And I had no family living around at the time. My parents were in Florida. My dad was a Blue Angel in the Navy.
Yeah.
So they were traveling, you know, everywhere.
Air shows and stuff.
Yeah, air shows. You know, that's all it was for 4 years. That's all my dad did was air shows.
That's wild. I admire the Blue Angels.
Yeah, it's
sick,
pretty cool, dude.
They're
I was already, you know, 20 at the time.
Yeah.
And so I was a little older, and I got to go to the shows, and I got to mingle with the team, and I tattooed a lot of the team.
Wow.
I tattooed like at the captain's quarters in Pensacola, Florida.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of like Top Gun and stuff.
Yeah, dude. It was
Blue
rad.
Angels, when you see all those tricks, I'm like, dude.
I wanted to be a pilot so bad growing up. I used to run around in a little flight jacket. My parents, you know, would bring me all the stuff because my dad was in the Navy.
That's sick. You got the hookup.
Yeah, we'd get helmets and the masks and build our own little airplanes out of laundry baskets and stuff. You know, them being gone, I didn't see why should I stay in Lemoore or Fresno area. I didn't have no family there. You know, nobody to really take care of me if something happened. Her family lived in Atascadero. She wanted to move over there, so that's what we did. We went and moved on a ranch.
Oh,
horses and stuff.
Dang, so you had that like horseback and all that?
Yeah, we had to go like get hay every week, feed everybody, and chickens. I was just kind of like a hand, you know, fixing fences and.
But you like that? I
love that kind of stuff, dude.
That's kind of
I like to live off the land, you know, big time fisherman, outdoors guy. And
that's cool. See, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I like to know where my food and stuff comes from.
Absolutely,
you know?
Especially right now, we're facing all those crisis stuff.
Yeah, dude. Now we're doing cows, and you know, I'm lucky to be in a family now where we're raising our own beef. I'm not too much of a hunter. I have a hunter's license.
Sure.
I've done the classes and stuff like that, but what's available here isn't really,
unless you're just like a duck hunting.
You got to go places if you want to hunt, you know, and that's cost money. So I have a bunch of kids.
Right.
You know, I got 6 kids now, and it's really hard to get away to go do something like that. But fishing, you know, more of a fisherman.
Yeah.
I've done a bunch of trips.
Is that your outlet? Is that kind of like your
Yeah, I guess you could call it that. Yeah, that's what I do, you know.
Right. I was
if
curious.
I'm not tattooing.
I was curious where your like hobbies were and stuff.
Yeah, if I'm not tattooing, I'm just a family man, dude.
Right.
The homestead life.
Right.
We're making sourdough at home and stuff, you know.
churning butter.
Churning butter, man. Yeah, we
That's
like
dope,
that way
dude.
of living. Very traditional vibes.
That's good, man.
When you live that way, it's just slower. Tattooing is such a thing, and trying to keep up with the demand and trying to make people happy and nurturing your clients. And, you know, I think I was really fed up with that type of living. You know, just like all I do is sleep and tattoo.
Right. So before it was even called a burnout, you felt that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I would lose the love. I would fall back into another hobby, you know, and try that for a little bit. But tattooing was always my saving grace. Since I loved sick in that time, that's how I always made my money. I always took on different side jobs here and there, you know, certified welder, stuff like that. I built some pretty cool stuff. My buddy JR, he owns a powder coater shop.
Oh, cool.
And like if he's shorthanded too, I'll go over there and, you know, work for fun. Just be in the sandblaster booth for 8 hours. Nobody can mess with me in there. You know, I'm just alone with myself and my thoughts for 8 hours in a suit. So we went and did our own thing, went to the coast, just kind of navigated. I worked construction at first just to pay the bills. And then once I got the smoke shop tattoo thing going, that took off. And then I made enough money to open my own location.
That's first the Atascadero spot? And then
that would be 805 Tattoo is what it was called at that time.
Did
I was
you
like
ever
piggybacking off the beer, you know?
Did you sell it like off to anyone? Or
I just closed it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I ended up going through a pretty nasty divorce. My family had moved back to Lemoore.
Oh, gotcha.
And my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And so with the divorce, you know, being final, and I had the two boys, I decided, you know, 2014, it was time to go back to Lemoore because my dad's time was kind of numbered. That's where I wanted to open up a tattoo shop. And I started Tactical Tattoo. And it's hard to open up a shop in your hometown, you know, when the odds are against you and there's certain laws in place preventing it to happen. You know, they had a situation in the zoning where you had to be grandfathered in, you know, because the two guys that ran the tattoo shops were going to council meetings and saying, hey, you know, no more tattoo shops type of a deal.
So they kind of put
they granted that.
They put a cap
They did. Yeah, they put a cap on. Yeah, so just this last year, it's been removed. That cap is no longer a thing in Lemoore. Personally, the mayor did that, I think, specifically because I was complaining so much about it.
Yeah.
I had, in 2020, when everything happened, I closed down Tactical. And I was getting snitched on for tattooing during the pandemic a lot.
Really? Someone was like dropping dimes on you, dude?
Yeah, all the time. So it happened 3 times. We had code enforcement, the police, the health department. You know, they would come and poke around. And, you know, we would even lock the doors and put the paper on and stuff. And they would still come.
Like block the front or something?
Yeah, they'd still come and call. And we're, no, you're in there. I felt ambushed in a sense. Like, okay, this pandemic thing is weird. They're telling us we can't work. Before the Safe Body Art Act, you know, there was no control or regulation like that. You know, and that didn't even start until 2014. So I'm thinking my old days of tattooing, I'm like, nobody's going to tell me what to do.
Dude, you had all this stuff falling on you, and I'm just thinking like...
I also had the skate shop at the time. So I had a little room in the back of the skate shop. I closed Tactical. I went in the room.
Just moved back in there.
Yeah, and now what I've done is I basically expanded that and made it into an operational, fully blown tattoo shop.
How many people can you fit in there?
I could probably fit like 3 more.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You have what? 3 art? How many art?
1 main artist right now, and then we have another one that's gonna come in with us. She's new. She's does permanent makeup. She has like a henna style background.
So you kind of give it a space for her to
to learn. Yeah. She's
cool.
like our, in a sense, apprentice, but we're not. It's not like the old school way.
It's not,
you know, she's a paramedic. She has her own life. She has, you know, other stuff that's going on where this is still kind of a hobby for her. So we're just kind of showing her the ropes. But me and my boy Anthony's been with me since I did his first tattoo probably around the same time I did yours.
Wow.
And he stuck with me, and then probably 7 years ago he came to me and was like, I want to learn how to tattoo.
That's tight.
He was working at the cheese factory.
Okay. Yeah.
So he gave up a really good job.
Yeah.
And he was like, this is it. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to tattoo
Right.
with you. And he went and bought all the stuff, and boom, it was on.
Did you help him, like, to be like, hey, this
I
is
was
what
hard
you
on
should?
him.
Oh, were you?
I was a dick, dude.
That's
I was
funny,
mean.
dude. I was curious,
Yeah.
like, how would you be as a mentor? I'm trying to picture it, like, if I would have came.
I was mean because, like, I was taught that way,
Right.
you know, taught to gatekeep and stuff
Well,
like
again,
that.
that's the traditional, like,
So-
I would have to learn from your ways, from
Yeah.
how you, what you know and what was, like, instilled into you.
And, like, I'm back in Lemoore. These guys were the ones telling me, like, I can't open, and
Yeah.
here I am, and we're
Dude,
doing
so
it
you're,
right.
like,
So now we got to
ramped
be
up.
like them.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It was just me and Phil for a while. Phil, the first guy that let me tattoo, let me kind of hang out in a
Right.
tattoo shop.
So you actually worked in with you also, or?
Right when I moved back to Lemoore and got the shop, I called him, and he was kind of on the end, like he's retiring.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, you know what, dude, I'll come and help you.
That's
So for
tight.
like the first year, he was with me.
That's tight,
Maybe
dude.
even 2 years, yeah. And it was just me and him.
Wow.
Just us in this huge 2,000 square foot building.
Damn.
And it was just me and him. It was super open, you
Wow.
know. And then we had a bunch of cool stuff in there. I had like an old motorcycle, and
Yeah.
you know, we did events and had lots of people over and painted every day. I had a guy, he was a friend of mine in high school, really good airbrush artist. He would come in and do like live airbrush painting classes.
So you guys were teaching the classes there, right?
We were teaching the classes, doing tattoos at Tactical.
Okay.
And after 2020, that all kind of got pushed into the skateboard shop.
Yeah.
And then Taylor actually made a station where he had 8 to 10 booths,
Wow.
all fully equipped with every single airbrush equipment. He was sponsored by a tape and sandpaper company, and he started firing off classes.
That's awesome.
And so, like, I'm tattooing in the back during the pandemic. He's doing these classes. Our door is wide open.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
never once got messed with. It
You
was
guys-
crazy.
You built that, like,
Health department.
barrier.
Yeah, health department, I think, did like come by or whatever, but
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I had broken ribs at the time, so
How'd you break your ribs?
skateboarding. Yeah.
Thought maybe you're-
dude, this finger actually is still kind of healing
Oh,
on the
it's
mend.
locked up, huh?
Well, it just I had 2 surgeries on it last year, so
Dang, dude.
skateboarding. You
Yeah,
know, I just can't stop.
I have one busted rib from MMA, and that's one thing that I got during pandemic. I mean, I was kind of losing my mind. I told my wife, I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna go compete. I'm gonna go fight again.
Yeah, and I did too. I got
Yeah.
back into jiu-jitsu for a little bit,
Yeah.
and I went to Grappling X in Fresno.
Nice.
Broke my pinky second match.
Sick, dude.
Yeah,
it's part
I
of it.
didn't tap.
No, it don't look that bad.
Nobody taught me the wrist lock, dude.
Oh, the
so like
wrist
how
lock
to escape
defense. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was like my second weekend, you know, of
We
jiu-jitsu.
just like white belt in.
Yeah, white belt, gung ho, getting
Hell yeah,
tapped, you
dude.
know,
That's
just
the
going as hard as
old
I
Tim
could.
ways.
Yeah, my buddy opened up a shop in Lemoore.
Like gym and everything. Or?
Yeah, Elite.
Oh, elite. Yeah,
He's a part of the Tom Knox stuff.
Tom Knox.
Yeah,
That's
he's a
what's up.
black belt out of there.
Nice.
And we
Nice.
have a ton of mutual friends and stuff, and a lot of guys in the tattoo world. He's all covered by Jason Kilgore.
Whoa, wow.
He has a bunch of good tattoos done by Jason and stuff too. So it was cool. Just like, you know, you support your friends when they open up businesses.
Right,
And my brother is a black belt out of there now.
Wow.
He stuck with it.
Right.
I quit, you know. I got broke off and I was out of there.
I'm cool.
I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, dude, I need my fingers to
That's
be able to feed my
funny.
family.
Well, that's what happened to me. I couldn't hold my arms up.
Oh, yeah?
That was an eye opener.
Wow, that's scary, dude.
I mean, you don't realize how much of your core you use, even as an artist,
Yeah.
to sit upright. And like, you know, when you have your arms up, you have your machine, you're stretching skin or whatever. I came in the day that happened where I was trying to like walk it off. And I'm like, I got a heel kick to the rib, and my rib went under the other.
Ooh.
And I still came in and I knocked out a small tattoo, but I had to like be super like tight. But I was
Yeah,
like,
that's
you don't
stretching it
realize how
pretty
much
thin, dude.
I went home and I just like laid on the couch like flat. All right, I got to
What are
really,
we doing here? It's like a come to Jesus meeting.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, I can't even cough or nothing, dude. I was like, it was sucked, man. But now it's just, it healed. There's nothing you can do about ribs. Like,
Right.
You just gotta let them, you know.
Yeah, nothing you could do.
But other than that, I mean, a few here and there, I'll roll with guys and be like, hey, we gotta take care of his hands, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, we'll be in a bad spot, like
just
a
gotta
black
tape 'em
belt
like
will have you.
crazy.
We'll have a black. Oh, dude, I look like the Ninja Turtles when
Yeah,
I'm
you
rolling,
gotta
dude.
tape them up like a ninja boot.
Like the sticky bandits, you know. You got like
Yeah.
mittens.
Yeah.
And I would tell people if I ever rolled and I had a few guys that I was teaching something, like if it was like a beginner class, and I'd be like, guys, I'm going to tell you what, just monkey C-clamp grip, that's all you get away with it, dude.
Yeah.
Like frame defense.
Yeah.
Don't keep your fingers out, get caught
Yeah.
somewhere. Yeah. I mean, I just kind of slowed down on that, and I just did it as a hobby or an outlet, you know, because it was nice, dude. You wake up in the morning, choke dudes out. We're just out there fighting, and then we come in here and just having a happy day, you know. It's like nothing could go. It's just a good, you know, stress reliever.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, you bring in a bunch on your shoulders, and then when you walk out,
you need
it's
something.
all
You need
fresh,
something outdoors. You need something
Yeah.
to talk about being tested, right? Because you're saying you're having all these avenues attacking you,
Right.
and we're sitting here like, well, for one, when it all started to come back to light and they're allowing people to work, I mean, calendars are getting filled up, and we're just kind of like, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
You got at a point where you're just like, I can't.
Yeah,
I
that
don't have
happened
enough
to
time
me.
in a day.
Definitely.
Yeah, you go into that one place in your mind where you're like,
what am I doing?
Yeah, it's hard, man.
It's just like rotating, you know.
Yeah, it was a real thing.
Almost like working a regular job.
Well, then even on social media, because how long have you not had an Instagram? Because you say you just opened it not too long ago, right?
Yeah, so I had like a tactical tattoo one. I was kind of like an Instagram hater.
Mm-hmm.
I was that way with Facebook too.
Right.
And like even
MySpace. Yeah.
When I first tattooed you, I know it was still like MySpace days and top 8. I was always just very traditional in my ways, you know, not willing to change and stuff.
Yeah.
But as it grew, I seen, oh man, there's a potential here.
Yeah.
And like, oh man, like these guys that are really invested are going to be the ones that see this thing through. And so I did the tactical tattoo thing. I wasn't like posting every day.
So it wasn't like your personal thing. It was just like an overall shop.
It was like a shop. Yeah, it wasn't really like personal.
Yeah.
And I never had a personal one, just never did. And after 2020, when I went into the skate shop and I was like, well, we're not really like tactical tattoo anymore. It was just like art by Tim Welsh, like in a closet. Yeah, I did that, and I traveled a lot, you know, tattooed at SEMA, snuck my stuff in.
How did you work, like in a booth or?
Yeah, at a booth. One of the sponsors for the painting class.
Oh, cool.
They offered us a spot to come and paid for our tickets.
You never got messed with or nothing when you were there?
Dude, the security, he was like, what is this stuff? And I was like, hey, bro, I got a demo to do in like 10 minutes. Like, I need to get out of here. He was like, oh, here you go. And just pushed me through real fast.
That's funny.
I got to the booth, and they do a thing where they get like a keg delivered.
Oh, wow.
And so it's like free beer for an hour. Guys are stopping by, and they're like, Tim, you want to give Armando a tattoo? And I was like, yeah. And we did the logo of the company.
Oh, cool.
So it was kind of like just a funny thing to entice people to come and see what's going on. That guy, Armando, you know, RIP, he ended up passing away in a very tragic car accident. I guess he was like Pennsylvania from that area.
Okay.
And flying out to Vegas, doing his work thing. And then I guess when he made it back, was in a car accident. So pretty sad story, but you know, we had some good times out of it.
I've always admired the fact that you're able to swallow the pride and step away from it. You mentioned you got priorities, you got things to, you know, take care of. So if you feel like you got to step away from tattooing, you take on a job and you're making it happen. Like, you know what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't, you know, they just sink. They don't figure out the swim. You know what I'm saying? They don't, especially, okay, a lot of artists were getting, I feel this because there's levels of the social media, the influence it does on you. Like when artists were falling off the map, when you see like they would openly say I'm taking a break from social media, or you know, you see that happen.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like,
wonder what he's going through.
right. It's got to be that bad to make an announcement where I take my breaks and I don't need to tell anybody. I just dip.
Yeah,
I post and ghost, like I'm gone. I post it. But I will check his messages, things like that. But I can't stay on there and like, the clients will tell me I can't get on the news anymore. I got rid of Facebook because of the news. I'm like, I'm not on there. Well, then don't be on there for news, or don't be.
Right. I guess that's how it's always been for me too. Like pretty specific.
Yeah.
You know, like the Instagram thing. I opened up for the tattoo shop.
Yeah.
I only followed tattoo accounts, you know, and only shared my love that way. Yeah. And then opened up the skateboard shop and only had the skateboard shop Instagram. I had no personal one. So I was never...
Like you didn't feel that bottle
I didn't have that pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a strategy, and also like your guideline of working out that business.
Got to have your home life too, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got to keep it separate.
For sure.
I had tactical. The skate park is in view of my shop.
Yeah, because it's like across the street.
Yeah, so I had moved back, right, because my dad had gotten cancer, came back from Atascadero. I had full custody of my older kids. I had them 24/7. And a lot of times during the summer, I would tattoo, and they would just be like in the shop, painting or watching videos or at the skate park where I could see from my back window. One day, the skate park was locked, and I got really mad at the city because I needed to do my tattoo and I just needed the kids to get out.
Right.
Just go over there and skate.
You're mad at the
be
city.
gone for an hour.
I need the skate park open.
Yeah, you guys need to take a break outside, kind of a deal.
Right.
And I called the city. The city was like, you know what, Tim? We would love to open the skate park back up, but we need somebody that's going to help us mentor the kids at the skate park because they're just trashing the place. They're mean to the cops.
It's like the maintenance.
And I told them, I was like, well, you find me a place. I've always had a passion for skateboarding.
Sure.
I told them, if you find me a building, I'm reasonably good at, opening businesses.
For sure.
And, I wouldn't say I'm the best, I don't have all the business natures knocked out.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm working on those. I went to school.
But I mean, what you've been doing is accomplishments in itself, though.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I've kind of figured it out through, the hard way, watching other guys, tank. Mm-hmm. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that.
You learn from that. You learn from that.
Yeah. Me and the city manager made a deal. He was like, I'll keep that thing unlocked if you can open up a skateboard shop. And I was like, find me a good location. He did. Even closer to the skate park. I opened up both. Got my first skateboard when I was 4. After high school, I got a job working at a skate shop. I've been building this place, Flowline, for about a year now. My tattoo business is actually one street over, and the back door of it has a window, and I can see through that window to the skate park. One day the skate park was locked, and that's my babysitter. So I went to the city and I told them, hey, unlock the skate park. And they were like, we can't do that because the kids are being mean. The city manager and I made a deal. If I were to help these kids, kind of mentor them, they would never lock up the park again. I said, okay, how am I supposed to do that? His reply was, well, we need a skateboard shop here. The next day, he called me up and he had the keys to this place. A lot of the inventory we have is from our friends that make skateboarding apparel, decks, wheels, trucks, I mean, you name it. We got friends in every aspect of the industry now. I linked up with pro skateboarder Jesse Paez. I just wanted to do something to give back to him. We have a full-blown airbrush studio and we get to show the community and we get to teach them how to paint custom skateboards. We're just pushing how we feel, just having the shop in a short time. Some of these kids, they grow up fast. It's just been super successful. We have a ton of support from all the community. We're doing 7 days a week, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we're at 321 East Street, Lemoore, California, 93245. If we're not here, anybody could always Instagram us or message us, and one of us will be here to unlock the door to help them out. So we were painting skateboards. Taylor's sponsored by multiple companies. Lots of tattoo guys were coming in there taking classes. Bobby got to hang out with him a bunch of times. He's super chill.
He's such a cool dude, man.
Yeah, he is super cool, dude. He's just kicking back, Taylor, the painter, the airbrush guy, he from Lemoore there, he took me and Bobby to like a lowrider magazine event, and it was like sponsored by like House of Colors, and the guy that is like the scientist in the lab mixing the colors, he was there. Wow. And so that was a huge opportunity for me and Bobby, like, who are we
to see that?
And we get these seats in this class with all these amazing painters and other artists and stuff.
What were they going over? Were they doing all like the...
Yeah, they go over everything.
Wow.
So like the chemical mixture, what works best, how to make paint lay. Yeah. So it's not like getting corrupted,
Right. Because you still mess with like old school stuff, like classics.
I do everything, bro.
Right,
I got pinstriping brushes. I watercolor almost every single day.
That's tight.
Yeah, I'm working on a big one right now.
Because I know you posted up that it was like the horse, like the native.
Yeah,
that's
the one I'm working on right now.
So how big is that to
That's
scale?
like a piece of archer's paper, like a 3 foot by 2 foot. Yeah.
Dude, that archer's paper is nice.
The rough stuff.
It's like the hairs.
Yeah.
A little I had Joseph Cabello in here.
Okay, cool.
He was talking about that too, and he was doing a lot of the, all his artwork that he does with like canvas print and stuff, and another buddy of mine was talking about the thickness of how archers, and when I got taught to paint like the whole like flash, I didn't understand that until I started seeing, when you're overworking the paper, when I was spit shading, the pulls are just immaculate.
Yeah, it's nice to have that flow.
You just see that little, dreads.
It's very similar to the way you stroke, with the tattoo machine or color packing.
Yeah. That stuff's pretty cool, man.
Similar muscle memory.
Right.
Yeah.
To the control and everything. And I do want to do more like traditional flash, you know. Like I have some of my original stuff in the back, but
yeah, I have a mountain of it. Through the years, I've actually inherited a few flash sets from people, been given. Like when Phil left, he pretty much left me like everything that he just didn't mean the most to him anymore.
And so this new spot you have, what's the name of this shop? Did you keep the name or did you?
No, so it's going to be new. It's new. It's all brand new everything. Flowline, which is my skate shop.
Right.
But we're going to brand it as 321 because that's the address.
That's the
321 East Street. And so we'll probably create an Instagram here soon and have a grand opening, invite you out.
Yeah, let me know. We'll definitely come out. It'd be cool to see all that.
Yeah.
When are you projecting for that? When are you thinking like that's
probably like April.
April?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a thing called the Pizza Fest in downtown Lemoore.
I heard about that.
Piggyback off of some of those events.
Right.
You know, there's already going to be a bunch of people downtown.
Yeah.
So that would be a good time for us to just keep the door open.
That's exciting though. You're going to launch off, you know, this finally put a spotlight on this. Now it's like a tattoo space.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be like probably my last one until, because like, I'm pushing 40 now. Anthony's been with me like the last 6-7 years. I guess he's like a little more inspired, I would say.
Like that drive motivation.
Yeah, like I did my first tattoo in 2000, four. I never took it serious though until probably like around Lovesick. When I felt like, all right, I'm good.
Like, all right, I'm on the saddle chair.
Yeah, well, so that was Lovesick probably when I felt like, because even in Vegas doing the diversity thing, you're doing these tattoos that you aren't really in love with.
Right.
And when I got to that shop in Fresno, I was like, all right, this is a place I get to, you know, kind of put my roots in. They let me mural out the wall. You know, so it was like a creative environment for me. And that's when I took it serious. And I was like, all right, this has to be it.
It clicked in and you're like, I got to make this happen.
Yeah, take it serious kind of a thing. And we were there 12 to 8 every day.
Yeah.
And through that time, too, working at Lovesick, I was putting myself through school, going to Fresno City.
I remember you were taking like art classes, right?
I was doing art and welding.
Yeah,
I was doing both. Giving me free money, like a FAFSA.
Oh, yeah, the loans.
Yeah, so I was so broke, dude. I was willing to just like take whatever.
That's funny.
You know?
Yeah, you're like, I'll get these loans.
Yeah, they're going to teach me and pay me. And I'll get like a free food card, you know?
That's funny.
Yeah, but I was just passionate about trying to be successful.
To this day, like what keeps you motivated into this? There's certain things that you're like, okay, there's a lot of things that are coming at me, or
I guess like
external things.
I would switch up. So like even in the shop when we would have situations with coworkers or whatever, because you know there's that kind of stuff that goes down and it changes the vibe in the shop. People leave, people come, you know, type of deal. Like tactical, I lost the motivation because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then I was re-inspired because now I'm hiding in the skateboard shop kind of a thing.
So now you feel like you don't have to be so
I'm like free from the
shackles.
Yeah, you know, and like,
yeah.
You know, the facility fees are so low. Like it wasn't even about the money. It was about the fact that I'm going to pursue this regardless. You know, tattooing's an outlaw thing. It always has been. Yeah. It was well before it was regulated. Yeah. You know, dudes were doing it in the back doors for a long time with sheets on the windows and stuff, you know. So that's just kind of how it always was. And for them to regulate it so much and to try to be like, oh, follow my rule type of thing, I would lose the motivation. But to come back and be re-inspired was like, okay, we got the skate shop. Now we're doing this. And then the opportunity maybe for like some travel. Yeah. You know, that would always re-inspire me because you would go places and meet new people and
they're just jacked about your work too.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, you're
somebody
from Cali.
You don't even know.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, being stuck in a small town, there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on. For a long time in Lemoore, it was very just unforgiving. You know, nobody would talk to each other. You know, it seemed like there was a lot of animosity. Yeah. But I feel like now it's probably more open than it's ever been. Because, like, I can call these dudes, you know, like David shows up to the shop every once in a while and he's just, like, in there.
It's cool to have that. That's why I mentioned, I'm sure, like, when you did the first conventions, I know in my own experience, it was nice to start that community. Yeah. Everywhere I went,
that's probably the most motivating, you know, is meeting new people.
Right.
And, like, recently last year, I went and worked at Sacred Tiki for 4 months. Yeah, it's like Steve Easley, Big Rich, Tommy Gunn, Brown Dog Tattoos, Zeke. Those are the ones there now. Those guys, you know, being there was just
it was so
motivating. It was fun, bro.
It lights you back up.
Everybody's painting every day. meeting new people, that's the biggest motivator for sure, because that's what opens you up.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's why a big thing why I wanted to start this project like a year and a half ago is connecting everyone. And it's pretty cool to have artists just kind of.
And you're doing great, by the way,
dude,
bro. When I seen this come up, I saw Bobby post it, and I was like, dude, this how cool. And
so
I didn't even know it was you,
yeah.
but I heard your voice, and I was like, why is his voice so familiar? And I'm like looking you up, I'm researching it, and then I seen you pop up with the David one, and I was like, no way, like this is Omar.
Yeah.
And I remember Omar. I tattooed this guy.
Yeah, dude.
And
I got my start with you. I got my start with a lot of the guys that were like.
So what you're doing is like something that, you know, we never did.
Yeah.
You know, you're bringing them together. You're building a platform where we can communicate.
What you said earlier when you moved into Lemoore, you said we got to, you know, that's how they're going to play. We're going to play the same game. And it sucks because that was the standard. That was the grounds. It's like, you know, this shop, you know, that shop, or like
you got your own block, get back on your block.
Yeah. So I worked in Gilroy, and then I would get invited to Morgan Hill to get. It was like a gathering of artists that were just paint and barbecue, and I met 12, 13 artists there, and it was wild, dude. It just looked like this big council table. And I had like a tackle box full of all like the FW paints and then watercolor stuff, a machine builder. There was like all these other tattoo artists. There was a shop that hosted it. This is the first time I ever seen this. I was like, they came to the shop. This guy was selling machines. Oh, we actually work in Morgan Hill. We're having a paint night, come out. And I'm like, cool. But that was, you know, it was weird. I was like, all right, I'm going to go. And I just thought
it is weird. It is weird going into somebody else's space, you know?
Yeah, but it wasn't at all though. You get there and everybody was like that. That was my first grip of connections.
Yeah,
because you're getting Sanho, you're getting. You know, I got a job opportunity in Hollister. I tattooed in Hollister,
and that's so motivating and inspiring. You know, when you go to those, you know, collections of people and are just like rejuvenated when you leave.
Absolutely.
You're like,
you see this passionate person as just as you, or it keeps you in that competitive edge in a positive way. Your environment, it's hard to.
You're open to grow,
right? You have to be. You can't stay stagnant. And back to like when I was trying to teach myself to tattoo, I didn't understand it. And I didn't know when I would take my machine to like a tattoo shop to be like, hey, can you adjust it? They were just going to, you know, get up worse. They're going to give it to you even like springed off or like mess with the spring.
You ever went to a shop and asked to buy supplies?
Yeah, that's happened. That's happened, dude.
That's hardcore.
It's hard, dude. You don't know what, you know, it's like no one will sell you anything.
Yeah.
Or they'll give you
before Christmas time. And
I remember one guy gave me like this tiny little vial of black ink, but it was like watered down. So they're gonna set you up. It was like Kurosumi. It was like Kurosumi gray wash. Go line the tattoo with that. I had these machines and I'd go in there and be like, hey, I don't understand. This thing gets really hot when I tattoo. I didn't know why it was sparking. and you know, and it's like you're running it hard. But that was like the trial and error. That was literally me like at your spot when you said, you know, I had to figure it out. This tattooing, I had my own kit. Like, did you face that also? Like when you were first tattooing, did you ever like, I don't understand needle depth. I don't understand. Why is my black not lining? Did you ever hit those like marks where you're at the beginning and how it was?
I feel like that mostly happened before tattooing got really serious for me though.
Okay.
So that was
like
when I was just messing around, like in my
down.
Garage and stuff, you know what I mean?
Like, what was your first like tattoo? Do you remember what
my first tattoo was a Jesus fish on the back of one of my buddy's arms.
That's funny.
And he's like a cage fighter. He still fights. He's actually got a fight coming up.
Yeah, you have a UFC fighter, right?
Alex Perez.
Yeah,
he's from
Lemoore.
Yeah, so he was a wrestler growing up.
Okay, yeah.
And then after that, Alex started getting new tattoos, and then he had the chance to go on Dana Contenders fight series.
The fight series.
Yeah.
That's where it kind
Dana
of popped
White
off,
Contender
right?
series.
Yeah.
And it was Snoop Dogg and Uriah Faber were his commentators. And it was the same.
O'Malley was on that one.
O'Malley was on that same exact one, dude. Yeah.
Who's your boy that's going to have a fight coming up?
Sergio Quinones. He was the first person I ever tattooed.
Wow, the first guy, huh?
Yeah, my
With the
first
Jesus
person.
Fish?
It was so bloody, bro.
Yeah,
it was like a 14 round shader, and I outlined it and
that
shaded
Sharpie in there.
Yeah, and
One
it all
pass.
blew out.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was It was so bloody.
So
it was
wild.
bleeding for like 2 days for sure.
That's crazy.
And we like wrapped it in a bunch of Saran wrap.
Is he fighting one of the local places, or is it
yeah, it's a local. I think it's like Porterville.
Okay.
One of the casinos there. It's always been a big dream, you know, but guys like you, you know, you're
it's crazy, dude.
You know, it's working out. Like you're one of those dudes. You've always been that type of guy that I've noticed since I've first met you. I forget where you were working. You were working some regular job.
Dude,
you had so many jobs, dude.
Yeah, I had a lot
You had
of
a bunch of
jobs,
different
bro.
jobs.
I had
But
a
then it
lot.
was like, you know, I want to do this one day, and boom, you were into
All
that.
in, dude.
It was like you were biking, riding the road bike every day.
Yeah.
And then the fitness thing was taken over, the jiu-jitsu thing was taken over, and then you were like picked up a guitar and you're like, I'm gonna be a musician.
Shows,
and then boom, you were having shows at Strummers, and I was like, bro,
what's going on?
Gotta go support Omar.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I was I don't know, I think I was just
You're just always passionate, bro.
Right.
Everything you put your mind to, you were just doing it. And then when I seen this, I was like, I didn't even know
sense.
he's doing tattoos. But it does make sense, bro, because you were there all the time.
Yeah.
You were at the shop more than some of the other artists.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was like in between your jobs, you know.
Right. No, yeah, I would come in, like, I forget what I was doing, but I would come in and work shirt or whatnot. And yeah, I got something about it. And they asked me at the same time, you should do this. I was scared to let go of that 9 to 5. I was always just doing my own thing. I've never really advertised.
And that's kind of the thing is, like, we get caught up in our own lives. And
yeah, I'm just trying to,
we have
like,
kids and,
right.
you know, school and
being a father, husband, and, you know, trying to make this spot. This has been a private studio. It's just been a creative space. And quick shout out to Helios Tattoo Supplies, one of the newest sponsors for the podcast. I'm proud to be a sponsored pro team member using their needles on the daily. Next time you're thinking about stocking up on supplies, head over to the website heliostattoos.com. Thanks again to Helios for sponsoring myself as an artist and sponsoring the pod. Now I'm doing this, which is cool because like it's for one. Like, obviously, I got to appreciate the fact that we were both able, like, to sit here and talk and reconnect and all this.
Thank you.
It's hard for us to do that. Right. And, like, for us to just sit
I
and
make
just
time for the people I love.
Right, absolutely.
No
That's why I was like, bro, I'll drop everything and just be like, got to get Tim on. Other than that, when I'm done, I clean up, check what I got to do tomorrow. Like you said, you know, on and off, keep everything separated. Go home, just all home life. It's hard for me to sit at home and just be like, occasionally when I feel a little stacked, I got to knock out some quick little things at home, but I try not to and just really focus on, because earlier years, you know how it is, man. Like when we're still trying to figure it out, how we're going to balance that family life into this lifestyle.
Yeah. And it's time consuming.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Like if you want to be a good tattooer, you have to just lock yourself in the shop for 8, 10, 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's the only way to get ahead in this game.
Right. And you have to have that like really motive that's going to allow you not to quit.
Right.
One day wake up and be like, I don't know which is hard because we're tested. We're driven to that limit. But I'm here talking with you, man, and I feel like I have no room to talk because you've tattooed years ahead of me.
Oh, come on.
But it's like I see you like a father figure, you know, in a sense. Like my tattoo daddy. You know what I mean?
But you figured it out your way too, which is so cool.
I had to, though.
You know, like you fell in love with it just like I did.
Yeah.
You know, and you just did it your way, you know, which is freaking awesome. There is no right way of doing this thing.
Yeah, I see you like a tattoo, like a mentor forever, because you were the first to really. So it's really awesome to be able to have a space to invite you into and just be like, check it out, bro.
It is so cool.
It's pretty wild.
I'm so proud of you, bro.
It's wild, man. I appreciate that. No,
Yeah.
I think
just to see you do this,
like,
I knew you had it in you.
It's crazy,
you know,
right?
way back then.
Yeah,
it didn't matter what it was going to be. You were gonna get it together, though.
I just know that I had to face all those challenges my own, and it's just kind of. I'm just thinking how much time you spent here, then you went to the coast, and you came out. Like that's a lot of time where you got faced with all these, you got hit with all these challenges, and you know all these new avenues of like that mental strain, the mental like you know what I mean, where you have to ground yourself and get it together and keep it with the fam. And so like your kiddos, do they see inspiration in this? Like do they want to try to follow the path of tattooing? How do you feel about that? Do they ever ask?
I could see my oldest for sure tattooing. He could draw, man. You know, he doesn't take the best tests and get the best scores, but he's got a creative mind. Yeah. And I know like with social media, there's a lot of like trends and styles going on. And like one of the things on TikTok is like outfit of the day type stuff.
Oh, sure.
And like even the Jinko pants like came back for a while, you know, like the big baggy rollerblader looking pants, you know? And he was kind of into that for a while and was like drawing pants.
Yeah.
Like drawing the stitches, drawing the pockets, and they were they were right, you know, and he was drawing them to make them look how he wants them to look, you know. It wasn't like a scribble or nothing. So he took it serious. And then there was another project he did in
to have an artistic eye.
Yeah, just like to get the geometry right, you know,
that's cool.
The anatomy, I guess.
Yeah.
To
be know how it fits, and that's that's a whole nother things that we face.
Right,
like when
that's
you
things
have
we
to
face. Yeah, but
figure that. You know,
I didn't know he had that in him.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, huh?
It's super cool.
My son will tell me, man. My 11-year-old tells me, he's like, I think I want to do this, and I'm like, let's find you another. I'm not even trying to like stray him away.
Yeah,
but I don't want it to fall under.
You have to do this.
Like dad's doing it, I want to do it. And it's like, I want you to do what you want to do.
Yeah. You just want something better for him.
Yeah. Our parents want better for us. And now I feel like that's always going to be a carry down. We're always going to be pushing that. I like doing the physical, the actual like hands-on stuff with them. Like do with them what you always enjoyed doing with your father. Right.
Right.
But now it's our turn. We have a clean slate. We get to write out how we want to be that father. What's our like the whole legacy thing, right? So it's like, how are we going to write this out? Like what's going to be the guide for them? And so I'm like, yo, let's go do archery. Let's go shoot this. Let's go do that. Let's go. Like, I want you to have that skill of art, but don't think I want you to fall into this. And then we might think about maybe how it is. And we're like, I don't know if you want that life, or I don't know if you,
I want
you know
it better
what I mean?
too for them.
Right,
Yeah. So I just want it easier for them, you know.
It's hard.
But
yeah.
I guess nothing comes easy.
Right.
You know, you got to be willing to put in the work. And
for sure.
I think once you hit a certain age, you start falling in love with certain things, and you get old enough to be able to go places, and you know, you're old enough to make your own money,
see the world, and
and that kind of gives you a train ticket, you know, to whatever you want to do.
Once you start seeing the world and traveling, that really opened your eyes to a lot of stuff.
Right, you have to go everywhere. That's a big part of it. You know, if you're gonna be small-minded, then you can sit in that one place and dwindle on all the bad stuff going on around. But if you want to really open and accept, you got to just dive in.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be willing to go to every single shop.
It's cool to open your doors and opportunities other places.
And I think it's fun too. Like even now, tattooing all this time, anytime I go anywhere, I'm always looking for like a tattoo shop.
Yeah.
Or a skate shop.
For sure.
You know, and I want to go in and meet
I have a tendency of getting drawn to that also. Like, you know.
If I can't get a tattoo, let me get a shirt.
Right,
you know?
right. Bring something back. My wife's from Minnesota, so when we go back out, there's a certain shops, and I just want to go see. I like to go and see their setup. It's a whole nother. It's like an art museum to us.
Yeah, Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota. Don't you know? You know? Yeah. Don't you know?
Fun,
Oh, I cap all the time, bro.
Culture change. A pop instead of a
pop
soda.
instead of soda. Yeah, dude, it's so funny. I have cool friends in Minnesota because I got that door open because of the convention in Minnesota, and so now there's a lot of guys in Minneapolis. Open up here, man. Come set up here, set up there. That's so cool.
Yeah,
you know?
And you don't find that with every shop.
There's that mindset, and then there's the whole new different, this whole inviting of let's build a community.
Right.
You know, it's nice to know that you can be like, Tim, come out here.
And
anytime
dude,
you're
for
like,
me,
bro.
this is like the legacy right here. Client turned artist turned entrepreneur. You know, like you're absolutely doing it, dude.
Yeah, man.
And I
appreciate
think that's
that.
what's fulfilling for guys like us.
Yeah.
You know, is seeing, okay, we were inspiring enough to be able to, you know, not scare this dude away from it.
Right.
Because I could see other people maybe having not such of a good experience. Yeah. You know, like, oh man, go in the shop, these guys are dicks or whatever. It's
well, then you'll forever think that.
Yeah, it's always what you make it. So it's, you just got to go. You got to go to another place. You know, get out of that mindset and see what's out there, see what's available. And the more you do that, the more open you are. You'll find out that it's really, that's how it is.
There's another side to it. And,
there's really, that's all small mind, small town, dumb stuff that, you know, you just got to get over. If you want to live differently, you got to be willing to say what's up and, you know, pop in and open your doors as well.
So this other artist with you apprenticed him, right?
Yeah.
And so, but your mindset to mentor him was like, I'm just going to drag you down through the gutter, put you through the trenches, right? And
well, I wanted to see if he was going to be able to like handle it, because it's like tattooing's hard, man.
Yeah,
you know, you really have to be a self-starter. You know, you have to be real responsible. You got to meet deadlines.
I was going to mention this to you. A buddy of mine, Made Rich, shout out Made Rich. They're out on the East Coast. They just posted this, and I was going to show you the apprenticeship pros, the apprenticeship cons, and then the self-taught pros and the self-taught cons.
Oh, okay.
So part of their example was like structured training with experienced mentors, kind of like what we were talking about.
Right.
Networking with industry professionals, hand-on experience in the studio, so you get to learn what it's like to be in the shop environment. Learn the shop, right? Not just knowing your garage. And the garage is all I know. Enhance professional credibility, so you can say, I've worked with Tim. Tim will vouch for me. Right. Cool, yeah, let me call him up, right? There's a safety and hygiene education, which is important. Also now self-taught. Now to the cons, I like how they said lack of guidance and feedback, which we kind of spoke about. Gaps with technique and safety. Harder to gain credibility without formal training, right? Limited networking opportunities, which is like opening doors. And they said slower skill development with the business practice. You were self-taught, but you saw that development.
Yeah,
you know?
so I had to just get enough no's to finally get a yes.
Right.
You know, so...
So obviously teaching this guy as a mentor, you kind of had to write his own guide.
Right.
By your standard or your traditional, knowledge.
How it should have been for me.
For sure. Because it was never...
Yeah, you know. And I probably was a little harder than on him.
Yeah.
But like we're in Lemoore, it's very military based.
Right.
You know, we have a lot of military guys in and out. We tattoo a lot of law enforcement, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I targeted. You know, tactical tattoo was...
it sounds like...
your moto tattoo place outside the base.
There, right.
You know, it could be anywhere. Like
you're going in there
base.
with a smell like a burnout. You know what I mean? Like it's like Sturgis or something.
Yeah.
You know?
So trying to bring a civilian into that world of like, it needs to be respectable. You know, this is the military we're dealing with. The way I wanted it to be there, I was setting a tone. You know, so I was teaching him the way I probably should have been taught, but I was just like a dad too.
Like a dad,
you know,
to his son,
I didn't want to wipe his ass, and I didn't want to take out the trash. So like anytime I paid a bill, whether it was like water or utility, I pay the bill, so you guys take care of that for me, type deal. Yeah. And if one day it could be yours, you know. So it's almost like giving a gift, you know.
Yeah.
You do it.
Yeah.
I know people do it like they take money to apprentice someone.
Yeah.
But I always feel like sometimes the money is just it's not even an apprenticeship. You're paying this guy money and you learn how to tattoo out of a shop, but you're not really benefiting from it. Right. You're not getting the exact guidance.
It's hard to say, man. It's hard to say like, okay, this many hours.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you're a tattoo artist.
Right.
It's hard, dude. We can't.
Right.
It might
just because you show up.
Yeah. It might
doesn't mean it clicked.
Right. It might. You might sink in it. From what I've taken from my own experiences is that some people pick it up faster. I get it, but then you can't expect them to be okay. Now you're ready. Here's your certification.
Yeah.
Give me my $5,000 or $10,000 to apprentice, whatever. You know, like the tattoo schools were doing that. And
that's
pretty
crazy.
Bizarre when all that went down.
So I don't know.
Online too.
Right.
The abuse of online is like, hey, take my course, sign up, and pay this and pay that.
And some of those guys are really good too.
Right.
Like
it's
I
hard to
look
knock
up to
on
them.
the person, but then the way to go about it is kind of
I think that's like it's an old school way of thinking.
Yeah.
You know, because we have schools for every other trade. Why is there not one for tattooing?
That's where it's shifting. The transition now.
If there's a guy willing to teach, you know, there's 5 shops willing not to take those ones from the schools as well because they think differently or whatever.
Have you ever sat there and actually looked up at one of those like tattoo videos on YouTube to see, okay, what are these people actually teaching people?
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen them? What are your thoughts on that? These guys are really trying to recruit people.
Right, you know? Right. I totally feel that way 100%. Yeah. They're like building mini universities, you know?
Your business, the way you conduct your business, that's very inviting, very welcoming. Everybody goes in there and they feel like it's a home. Plus, it's
respectable.
In a skate shop.
You know what you're going to expect, you know?
Like the customer service, your customer service.
Yeah.
Right.
It's been a learning curve.
Yeah.
I think customer service is huge in a tattoo shop.
For sure.
And a lot of guys don't have that.
A lot of people aren't taught.
Yeah, so...
they go straight from home to shop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so I don't know. It's it comes with owning a shop and all that stuff. It definitely comes with, every other skill that you've gained throughout your life.
Yeah.
It just doesn't come from, you just don't get it.
Right.
I've seen it happening. Talented artists, very little experience, going out on their own, making it happen. And I do applaud those people because even though a lot of, more traditional guys look down on that, to be able to, really hunker down and, accomplish a goal like that, it takes some grit.
For sure.
You know, when you got everybody against you. Yeah. So there's a humbling sense in all of that, you know, just the whole dynamic of, you know, it's for everybody.
Yeah. And I mean, like you said, you're feeling like this is it for you. Like this shop is going to be, you want to kind of write it out here.
Yeah. And
you don't have no plans going nowhere else other than just occasional travels, right?
Yeah. And I think that's, you know, I'm ready to just be like, all right, we're done.
It's exhausting, dude.
Build a farm, you know.
Build a farm, find you on a tractor, you know.
Yeah, that's
You have a tractor?
No, I don't.
I'll get you a John Deere, bro.
No, I don't got a tractor.
Get it all rotted out, get like a pinstripe. I'm sure it's out there.
I've rode a bunch of them. I've had all those types of jobs, you know. Before tattooing took off, I was out there in the fields and stuff and
getting it done,
running tractors and, you know, doing all that stuff, doing very high caliber industrial maintenance to buildings and just, you know, all kinds of crazy stuff, construction. Yeah, I was in the Iron Workers Union and we built the second largest building on the Las Vegas Strip.
That's crazy.
I was like 53 stories in the air, you know, dudes were dying on the job and stuff.
Yeah. I guess the standard back then wasn't as, you know, people wanted to go home and some guys were just out there reckless, huh?
Yeah, staying up all night, partying, coming to work at 3, 4 in the morning.
Hanging off a harness.
Yeah, and then
I love all that.
They crash and burn. Yeah.
Damn, dude, that sucks.
And it's a hard job, you know. I think any job like that is hard. Construction, anything that's real labor intensive, you know, there's a time limit on that thing, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy because that's a trade that you were in and you were like, I'm going to tattooing.
Yeah, I was done with like being exhausted all the time, working all those crazy hours, and I could just do a tattoo and make the same amount of money on one tattoo that I did over there for a whole day. Yeah, like it's crystal clear. You know, sales are where it's at, really.
Like you too. Like look where you are. Look all you've done. What you're like headed towards. You know, with this is pretty rad, man.
Yeah, and I think the skate shop tattoo shop combo has really been a good thing for me because I brought in the pros, and now we're tattooing pro skateboarders. Yeah. Which is really cool because I always felt for a long time like the tattooing never made it. Yeah. You know, we didn't have a lot of published stuff go out, you know, not a ton of followers, stuff like that. But we were there every day doing it, you know, so.
For sure.
I know.
It goes hand in hand too.
Yeah, I know for me, I'm very true to myself. You know, I'm very, you know, I want to do this thing. I want to do it right. You know, so I'm very adamant about that. And just, you know, trying to be successful. Yeah. Because it's hard out there for any business owner, small business owner, especially when you have like a bunch of kids and family and now you got education to worry about and events and, you know, putting clothing and food, in and onto them. Yeah, it's become a full circle thing, you know, and I never knew tattooing was going to do that to me. I always just thought it was going to be like a fun ride, like you know, fun, friendly, whatever. And then we took it serious. And
it's cool how that was like your, like the things you lived by. That's your code. That's like a standard for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like how you're true to yourself. Like it was almost like that's your creed.
Very urban in our shop.
That's sick.
Yeah, I'm just cowboy on the side.
Right. It's like, but on the side, I'll put my boots on. That's rad, dude.
Yeah, I got to blend in. So the skate shop has all that. We hadn't dropped a bunch of orders in a while because I was getting back into the tattooing and traveling a lot. And the building itself had a lot of conditions that it was going through.
Is it like a warehouse, actual warehouse thing?
It's like, no, it's an old building from like the 1890s.
Okay, like this.
It used to be the bar next to the brothel.
Oh wow!
yeah, it's like a historic
so you got
building.
Some underground tunnels in there and stuff.
I'm sure there was at one time.
You know what I mean? Prohibition era.
When we were putting the fence up, we were digging holes and pulling out, old glass because it was a bar. Yeah. And I guess they just used to break the bottles in the back or whatever. But it was like old glass, super thick, just coming out of these holes and stuff. And I found like over 100-year-old horseshoe. Wow. One of it's called the tie rod and it holds the wall to the building. One of those came out and it was like buried or whatever. Wow. And found that as well. So that's like a piece of wrought iron somebody handmade.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, but the building itself went through a lot of transitions. So when I opened up the skate shop, 2020 hit, the pandemic hit, I couldn't get a board in. Yeah. Because it was all trapped out in Long Beach, out in the bay. Dang. So sales dropped. And then one of my walls collapsed. Dang. And this was 2021.
So you had to deal with this whole like wall issue.
Yeah, but it took 2 years. And the city came and red tagged the building. So from 2021 to 2023, I'm just drifting around tattooing out of state, at the coast, wherever I can get a spot, guest spot type thing.
You didn't really have a place to
I couldn't even work in there because there was a giant hole in the wall.
Wow.
So that was a huge setback, you know, like we just built this thing. It's a brand new skate shop. And then within a year or two into it, the wall collapsed. Once the building next door collapsed, about 3 months later, my wall collapsed, and we could tell that it buckled and it had like a bubble in the brick, and then eventually it just popped through. It just crumbled. But the owners are so cool that the landlords that own the property, they have a few more buildings like around the corner and stuff, and they were like, hey, while we're working on this, you could put all your stuff in there, use it as like a storage.
Oh, that's cool.
But I set that storage up to make it look like a skate shop.
Sure.
So at least I could get rid of boards or something, you know, while
try to put something out.
Yeah, tattooing here and there. I had to dig down 6 feet, but they got all that taken care of. They call us up like back in April. I'm like, hey, you ready? Ready to move back into the skate shop? And I'm like, yeah.
Been ready, yeah.
And then the freaking sidewalk collapsed.
Damn, like a sinkhole?
Yeah, like the sidewalk just crumbled and it turned into dirt, and people were calling it into the city, and the city was sending us letters telling us you got to fix the sidewalk. You can't work until it's fixed. It's a liability. We just got that fixed. Wow. So as soon as the sidewalk got fixed, I got the word, hey, we can operate again. And that's when I left Sacred Tiki, and I just went straight over here, and I built a wall to expand the tattoo area and dropped in a floor, you know, hospital flooring, hospital grade flooring,
right,
and made it all up to code.
Yeah, sick.
So now it's half tattoo shop.
Where are you with like
the
permits for like the inspections already happened?
Yeah, we're just waiting for them to come by. So, but everything's ready. We got everything done.
Nice.
Waivers, all new countertops. It's like white marble.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really exciting. Black walls, black floor, white countertops, black boxes.
Just super stands
Everything
out.
matches,
of it,
just like this, you know?
Yeah, it's funny because the first shops that like the first shop I opened was out towards Gilroy, right?
Okay.
So that one was you just mentioned what all you knew, right? So you walked in, dude, and it looked like a sailor port.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It had all the traditional flash on the wall, like 32, 30, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then I had flash racks and all that.
No real sense of style.
But it was like blast you overwhelming of very traditional tattoo shop. Yes. You know what I mean? Because that was my comfort. I just knew that. Opening this one, I was like, whole new direction. I just wanted to be.
You have an image.
Let's have more of a custom. You know what I mean? I don't want to just be this.
It's more fun that way.
It's fun, man. It's cool. And then
you have a brand, and you know.
Right. The back, I have like a whole painting or airbrush stuff, and then I have like the workspace for the other artists, and then like it's just really. It's super.
This is all you need, right here.
This is all I needed, man.
And you maxed it out too. I like it how you decorated everything, and it's
I just wanted it like
very classic,
like you said.
Classy.
Everything just fits that vibe,
right?
You know?
When you walk in here, you don't feel like you're in Sanger, kind of like in a different place.
Yeah.
You know, while you're here getting tattooed, made it super cool, bro. Like looking around is just insane.
Yeah, because
I really dig your style.
We've all been in many shops, and we're just kind of like, what can we do?
This is very elegant.
Bring it all together.
Yeah, it's like the Venetian.
Yeah, the Venetian.
Palace type shit.
This is the Vatican. Yeah. Welcome to the Vatican.
Yeah, cool. These little towns have that. It's so cool.
It's pretty cool, man.
A lot of history back here.
I'm excited to see your new like direction of.
Yeah, I kind of found the love again.
Yeah, that's good, dude.
And it's like, you know, you mentioned a lot about like what motivates you and stuff, and you know, I think it's just the constant change.
Yeah.
Sometimes too.
Well, it's like I know you have a purpose. Like I know you like a very purposeful person, right? Like you have this thing, this drive, and like you have the family behind it, right?
Yeah.
But then your craft yourself, because obviously now, again, before we even called it a thing, we had to maintenance ourselves our own way. We had to like damn, I need to take a break from tattooing. I'm
very present. I'm very that type of person. Like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I have that very real sense of living.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of what you have to do to find yourself.
Right.
You know, you lose yourself in the hustle and bustle and wrapped up in all these permits. And, you know, I didn't do this because of permits.
Right.
You know, I didn't do this because, you know, some guy in a suit and a tie in an office somewhere is making money off of me.
Right.
You know, I did this for my own personal
like a slave to someone
benefit.
Else. Yeah.
And it was just like an outlet, you know, in the beginning.
So you have like opportunities in life to have started so much
Yeah, I could have tattooed then.
Right.
And I don't know. I was so into painting, like car painting and, the lower trucks and stuff like that was a big thing at the time.
Yeah.
Trucking Magazine and the crazy paint jobs.
Right.
And I seen there was a big bag, you could get, flipping cars. It'd take you a month or two to paint one, but, you get 10, 20 grand off of it afterwards.
What stuff are you going to carry at the shop? Like what companies are you like?
So we're going back to mostly underground.
Okay.
So when we first opened Flowline, we had like all the big name brand stuff, but the industry and skateboarding has even changing.
Yeah.
The pros are leaving the big name brands and they're off creating their own.
That's cool.
And so with
and
the
those
knowledge,
are the guys you're linked up with too, right? Those pros.
So like now that we have the knowledge of their brands and who they are, we support that. Yeah, we know where the money's going. It's not going
it's a
to
direct
a corporate
supplier,
entity or over to Australia.
Right.
We know it's going to.
It's a direct supplier, direct person. And then you'll have still workshops there, obviously.
We'll still have paint nights. I just talked to Taylor recently. He told me to set one up.
Yeah, dude,
because
let me know.
He knows the shop's getting ready. Yeah. We still have an area available for painting and all that. So
that's cool.
We're in there painting every day.
You shoot me those invites, man.
Yeah,
I'll
for sure. Definitely will.
Yeah.
Definitely excited to get this cracking off. And
for sure.
It's kind of like, now the pandemic's over. Pandemic took 5 years to get out of our hair.
Tell me about it, man.
Now that it's over, we're ready. We're more motivated.
Yeah.
We're doing it in our hometown.
Right.
We're very keen on keeping it that, just helping the people that help us.
You have a spot for the kids to go and like have a place too.
Yeah,
I think that's cool.
We're very much a teen center sometimes. The skate shop, the kids, they come in, they bullshit, but they know like they're very I don't know, how do I say it? The kids this generation are a lot nicer than the kids in my generation were because they were mean. You'd go into a store or a shop and you're just, messing around, being negative, and now these kids, they want to be a part of it.
Right.
And what I've seen recently is like these kids are, starting their own brands.
That's cool.
They're making their own skateboards. They want you to sell theirs.
Yeah.
And the other kids locally want that. They want to buy their stuff from your shop. So
and I bet it's cool for them to see that. To be like, they have my stuff. They have my board. They have
Bobby made a bunch of skateboards. And
that's what he was showing me.
Yeah, we put them in our shop until they were sold out, So that was cool. We've done that too a couple times with our own brand. And I think that's really where it's at. That's where you make the most money. And you keep it in the right pockets.
Right.
You support the brands
that
are local.
Yeah.
The people Yep.
The
people that are, probably in the same type of industry, doing the same goals, you're after. So that's, we just try to keep like-minded people around.
For sure.
Yeah, so we'll have skateboards, trucks, wheels, bearings, all the hard goods, clothing, mostly just like shirts typically. We dabbled. We had like a Dickies account.
Okay.
It was cool for a little bit until like all the good stuff was sold.
Yeah.
And then there was just a lot of dead
leftover.
stock.
Yeah.
It's like
that's
stuff,
what you don't want, just stuff just sitting on the shelf.
And that's what I noticed was like skate shops, if you go to one, they always have a sale area.
Right.
So I'm trying to keep it fresh, and I don't want to have like a bunch of sale stuff, stuff that's gone out of.
Like as soon as it comes in, have a turnaround.
Yeah, it's just out of style, or the trend has changed.
Yeah.
So now I typically make orders with people who are like artists. Like I have a guy I buy boards from now. He does tattoos like on the side. He doesn't take it serious, but he does pretty decent work.
Yeah.
And he's not like in a shop or anything.
That's cool.
But he's out living in LA, and he mostly just has like a skateboard company, and that's how I don't know how else he makes his money, but he has a team, and it's a really good skate team. Wow. And he makes the images on the boards.
Yeah.
He gets other pros to help him. He's all clicked in that way. And then they bring him out to us. We put him up on our walls.
That's cool.
And he sponsors local talent.
That's cool, man.
So it is really just like a big collective thing,
And you got the tattoos in the mix.
Yeah, all of us working together.
Yeah.
We're all going for the same thing. It's really crazy.
That's gonna be cool to see that.
We're so different.
Yeah.
Extremely different,
Right.
Hollywood, LA, and I'm like country boy, just way
Central
different.
Valley kind of thing. Yeah.
I don't ever go to like Dunkin' Donuts or, you know, I don't do any of that. You know, I don't buy coffee from anybody.
Yeah. You make your own.
Yeah. We grind our own beans and stuff.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
it's crazy.
Hard.
Yeah, we live like
dope,
that.
Dude. You got your Colombian drops, you know, Colombian coffee.
Yeah, it's really cool to see where your stuff comes from, you know, and the work that it takes to get it versus going to the store and getting a steak in a pretty little pink package.
You're just
you know, it's a giant process to get to that.
Right. That's
and
just like
I have a lot of love for, you know, the grind, you know, and that's how tattooing is.
The craft.
Yeah, the craft, you know.
Yes.
It's like the
hands-on.
That's what makes it worth it all.
Yeah. Like to this day, I contacted a machine builder to commission me a machine similar to my first machine.
Oh, cool.
So this guy
I still have mine.
Yeah, well, I had mine. It's just the guy that built it for me. He switched it to a upgraded frame.
Okay.
But I was like, but I want that frame back. I think it had to do with some guy owned that design.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, well, I can't really sell that anymore. Right, so actually, I'm glad you sent it back because it wasn't really mine. Yeah. So I think it had something to do with that. But the guy that actually had it, he wasn't going to tell me who it was because, again, it was the gatekeeping thing. Even that machine builders is kind of like, there's a lot that separates a really good machine builder. Like you can tell if they know everything, like know it to science.
Right.
And this guy, he wouldn't even tell me who the guy was that made that original side frame. But I found him. I contacted him, and he's gonna make me my same.
Oh, sick!
But
dude.
That craft is something that is appreciated.
Right.
Like I know someone tinkered, and this isn't a CNC cutout.
Yeah, it's like finding the plug.
Right. Dude.
You know, and then they don't want to give it up because like they're the journey to the plug or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, man.
People
crazy.
feel like he's mine. You
right.
know?
Yeah. It's like
you can't have it.
I can't give you that source. Yeah. But I like that you're gonna have the craftedness of all that stuff that's created.
DIY.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how all this stuff is made and born, and tattooing is very much that way.
You got the business plan, you have that, and I think it's gonna be rad to just walk in and see that it's like a tattoo shop oriented,
right?
You know, connected.
It'll be the first time we'll be able to open to the public as like the combo,
right?
You know, because we couldn't even get insurance because of the sidewalk.
Sure.
Like 3 years of construction.
Talk about perseverance though, just patience and
just waiting. Yeah, praying. And I'm hoping like the next 5 years, you know, we have just a really good turn, you know, like it's our turn.
Do you have plans to travel still? Like, or do you just want to focus once it kicks off?
I do. I have a couple trips planned. Michigan, hopefully. And then I wanted to do the I think it's Houston in April, but that's probably not going to happen now because of our grand opening.
Sure, you got the kickoff, yeah.
And then August would be Oklahoma City. The one, I think it's like Tattoo Fest is the...
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Tattoo Fest is the promotion putting it on.
So it would you travel with your artists that you're with, or...
Yeah, if they want to come.
Okay. Or
yeah,
you were just thinking
like
about
Tommy from Sacred Tiki. He's like, I want to go. I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like let's go. We'll do a Sacred Tiki booth. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that'd be sick, dude.
Same with Steve too. Steve is like he wants to travel and get down and.
Yeah, Oklahoma was tight, man. Maybe.
And guys are so fun too.
Yeah, let me know dude. That'd be fun to do that. I've been wanting to do a convention, man. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to travel together, dude.
Yeah, it would be definitely.
It'd be fun to like do like Oklahoma or something.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I gotta look into that. That'd be cool, man. We should probably like plan something.
Yeah, I'd be down, dude. That's like right before the kids go back to school.
Right.
So
that's what I'm thinking
I'd have
too.
Like my chick, she'd be taking care of the kids, everything.
Right. Hold down
the
fort.
One cool hurrah before we go back to education mode.
Right. Back to the whole school schedule.
And then grind it out for the holidays, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's awesome, dude. It's so cool being here, bro. And like,
yeah, it's been rad.
I can't believe this is like full circle thing.
Yeah, it's cool to have the fact that you're like, you know, it's wild to have reconnected, man.
It is. It really is. We are so far behind, bro.
Yeah,
we could probably sit here and BS
we
for
really
so
can.
long.
Out of all things you've been through, I know we've hit a lot of good like points and topics, but everything you've been through in life, in your own personal opinion or your own personal experience, someone were to come up to you for any kind of advice, what would you tell that person with the things that you've been through?
So I would give him the best advice I could. Just don't give up, dude. Yeah. You know, if you have a goal in mind, I would just say keep grinding until you make it because it's going to happen eventually. Some people have shorter timelines and it might seem like you're never going to get there or keeping up with them, but every journey is its own. And just, you know, don't give up. You know, that's the biggest thing is especially if you got like family and, you know, I mean, even if you don't have family, that could be the most important thing, you know, is if you're out there all alone on your own, you can't give up. You only got yourself. So, and stay true, you know, just be a good person and things will fall into place. If you're just doing the right thing, it's going to happen. Put yourself in positions where, you know, bad things don't or can't happen, you know, kind of a thing. I know accidents and tragedies and stuff you can't see those into fruition, but, you know, you can write down your goals every single day and start checking those off. And that's probably the best place to start is if you're up and coming and you're trying to do something, make a list and start checking off that list. Because I know for me, every time I made a list, I was able to check those things off. And, you know, the ball starts rolling. It's a tangible thing. It changes it snowballs fast. And, you know, you'd be surprised how fast you can eat an elephant one bite at a time.
For sure.
So it's life is an elephant, man. You know, how do you eat an elephant? Just one bite at a time.
I like that analogy, man.
That's something I picked up off my dad.
That's dope, dude. I'm so glad to have you in here, man. I'm so glad I've been reconnected. Appreciate you. And
likewise, brother. It's
awesome.
man.
This is kind of like a big part of just watching you work back in the day, and who knew? Right?
Yeah, who knew?
For both of us.
Yeah, for both of us, dude. Not in a million years would I think
here it's a full circle, dude. It's wild. And this ain't it. Like I would love to just plan things with you later in the future.
I'm definitely down, bro.
If I could go back and have been your apprentice back in the day, I would have done so, but who knows what would have happened of that.
Yeah, I don't know if this...
You know what I mean? I don't know if this is
it panned out exactly how it's supposed to.
I feel like it.
You know? So, now we got each other again. Right. I was a big fan back then, before you ever did tattoos or podcasting. I knew the type of guy you were. We had always clicked. Right. You know, every time I saw you, it was like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I appreciate
We were
that,
like
dude.
Homies and buddies.
Absolutely,
You know, we weren't always into the same stuff at the same times, but the tattoos made us close.
Yeah. And if you run into any issues or whatever from now till April, you're like, yo, I got some tattoos to knock out. Bring them in, dude. Bring them in.
Yeah, absolutely.
The door will be open. You let me know.
Yeah,
for sure.
cool,
like
brother.
on the real, man. Again, this has been Tattooing Out Loud. Tim, go and give us your Instagram where people could find you, the shop Instagram where people can reach out to you.
Instagram is probably the most formidable right now. You can find me at Art by Tim Welsh. That's just like my personal art. I post stories on there of my personal life, but it's mostly just tattoos. The skate shop is Flowline Sports, and the new shop is going to be called 321 Tattoo.
Dope.
So look for that. It's going to be coming. We're going to be launching the whole thing.
Coming soon.
We'll have a website, emails, phone numbers, all that good stuff. So, but it's just new, and we really want to do it right. So we're not in a hurry. And we're just gonna put all our eggs in the basket, do it right, make it pretty, and but yeah, come check us out anytime. We're in Lemoore, 321 East Street, right across the street from the skate park. A lot of people go to the Mexican restaurant on the corner right there called Reina's. It's been there for years. The ladies in there are awesome. Everybody on our street is like a family. Dope. You know, go next door, get your kids in karate. Yeah. Those guys are cool. They've been around for a long time. But yeah, we'll be in Lemoore for hopefully the foreseeable future, at least the next 5 years. Absolutely. I don't plan on leaving until, you know, my family leaves. So, for sure. And hopefully that never happens. Yeah, dude. That's so cool to have you so close too, man. Yeah. Anytime we could just link up now. Yeah, we could just go have lunch sometime. Yeah, for sure, man. Let's try to do that. Yeah. Well, I appreciate everybody listening to the end, man. It's some funny stories of how this all came to be, but it's great to hear from your bag, you too, Omar. I love you, man. I love you too, big brother. Fan, man. I'm so proud of you. I'm like, dude, I'm the one that's like... There couldn't be a better dude doing this. I appreciate you, man. Because I just feel like you're a very fair guy, and you've always put your best foot forward, and I know that's what your intention is with everything you do in life. And yeah, man, I want to give everybody a spotlight. I'm just so proud, dude. I'm really just... Appreciate that. It is awesome to be here. It's very humbling, you know. It's awesome, man. Appreciate you having me back over here. Brother. Reaching out and, you know, just connecting. Yeah, dude. It is absolutely so cool, man. The highest level. Check out my man Tim's work, the shop. I'll be following you guys, everything you do. Dude, I kept all my portfolios. Dude, send me that. I'll screenshot. I'm sure I got them hands in there on something. Yeah, dude. I remember this, like, you know, when we did just the tie in. That is so crazy. Because I remember you had it all done. But it was just the gap. And I was just like, I smell like vines or something. And you wanted me to do it. And I'm like, well, what about the other guys that like filled up your whole arm? And you're like, nah, I just want you to fill it. And I'm like, dude, you're giving me the ender on your sleeve. Yeah, dude. It's funny, man. Yeah, how cool though, giving me some glory on that thing. Yeah, that, my leg. And to this day, I rock it proud, dude. It's like, you know what I mean? That is so awesome, bro. My stuff is old too. And I don't really cover anything. It's part of my story.
Exactly.
So
that's why I tell people.
I just add.
They talk about cover ups. I'm like, for what, dude? Like, this is a story to tell. Everything.
You're right.
You know, like our own marks and stuff. Like, I'm pretty sure it was like, I think it was a lettering, dude. I think you did this or something.
Yeah.
And my Elliott Smith tattoo, bro. I think you did that.
How cool.
And it was just on a random night I came in. I was like, you got time, bro?
And I know I've done probably so many on you. It's probably hard to remember everything just because you were
like
just there all the time and you were always in the chair.
Like Scott did all this and
cool.
Remember the sailboat and all that,
wow.
dude? It's just all a bunch of old stuff.
How fun, bro.
Crazy, huh?
But yeah, man, I definitely appreciate you having me out. Sanger's a beautiful little town. You're holding it down for everybody. And
thank you, man.
What you're doing in the tattoo world is phenomenal.
Hope to see more from Tim and myself together jamming out and stuff too, man. It'll be dope.
Your past EPs are badass.
I appreciate that.
I paint and I just play them in the background and listen.
Yeah,
and it's just so
sick.
Cool.
Appreciate everybody listening out, man. Catch y'all on the next one later on. Thanks. Later.